We'll begin at Anfield, where Harry Maguire's dramatic late goal sealed a 2-1 win for Manchester United, handing Liverpool their fourth consecutive defeat and first home Premier League defeat in 400 days. And in part two, we'll turn our attention to Crystal Palace as Eagles legend Clinton Morrison joined the man of the moment, Jean-Philippe Mateta, for a masterclass in finishing. And after their 3-0 defeat at the hands of Chelsea, Ange Postecoglou's reign at Nottingham Forest is over, lasting just 39 days, the shortest permanent managerial spell in Premier League history. So in part three, we'll take a closer look at how things unravelled. Elsewhere in match week 8, Danny Welbeck struck twice as Brighton beat Newcastle 2-1, Burnley beat Leeds 2-0. Jean-Philippe Mateta's hat-trick, including a stoppage-time penalty, helped Crystal Palace draw 3-3 with Bournemouth. Erling Haaland's double gave Manchester City a 2-0 win over Everton, and Sunderland also beat Wolves by 2 goals as their fine form continued at home. Leandro Trossard's goal saw Arsenal edge Fulham 1-0 to return to the top, and on Sunday, Emiliano Buendia's brilliant strike sealed a 2-1 comeback win for Aston Villa over Tottenham. So Arsenal are top after 8 matches, 3 points ahead of Manchester City, while Bournemouth sit third, above Liverpool, who now drop down to 4th. And it's newly promoted Sunderland, who continue to impress, sitting in 7th. Burnley's victory over Leeds lifts them out of the relegation zone, leaving Nottingham Forest and West Ham in the bottom 3. Wolves remain bottom of the table and still without a win this season. And with Arsenal sitting at the top of the table, I wasn't sure former Spurs manager Tim Sherwood would join me today. I'm really pleased that he has. And also Leroy Rossignol has been keeping his eye on events across the league this weekend. What have you got for us, Leroy?
Well, Leon, plenty to get through this weekend. As always, loads of funnies. And as someone who knows a thing or two about short managerial reigns, I'll be joining you to take a closer look at where it all went wrong for Ange Postecoglou during his 39 days at the City ground.
Thank you, Leroy. Well, Tim, I think we'll just start at Anfield, the game of the weekend. It was very entertaining. It certainly didn't disappoint as a fixture, did it?
It was obviously a great day for Manchester United. Probably an even better day for Arsenal.
Yeah.
After the results come in. But I'm pleased for United. I think they need something to build on, and I think this might be the catalyst. You know, Ruben Amorim's taken a lot of stick. Now they're 2 points behind Liverpool. Yeah, they are. I mean, it's been a terrific run. Any surprises? Were you surprised by any of the team selections? Liverpool unchanged after that defeat at Chelsea. Manchester United making a change after their win last time against Sunderland. With Liverpool, you're never surprised when they're changing but I'm surprised that they kept the same team and changed it a bit. With Man United, they're always chopping and changing because you're trying to find the result. But Šeško, on the back of scoring, playing very well against Sunderland before the international break, gets left out. Cunha comes in. You'd have to say, if you're a manager and you win the game, you got it right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you talk about Šeško not being in the team. That was the big decision, wasn't it, for Ruben Amorim? But they had a game plan. And Manchester United goalkeeper Lemans was speaking to The Athletic today just to say about their game plan. And he said, we know how they press, man v man. So being realistic, coming into Anfield, it's quite difficult to build up with defenders. We made the decision of going long and to do it second ball, even though we didn't really have a target striker. How we scored first. It was very clear right from the first whistle that everybody within that Manchester United squad, team, coaching staff had a real game plan of how they felt they could win at Anfield. Well, they did it at home to Sunderland. They went long. Lemans can kick. He can kick a long way off both feet. I'm not sure about his build-up play. We haven't seen it yet, but I think it's a good decision from the manager to say, you know what, let's not play out around our box. Let's not give the ball away in poor areas where we lose possession and it ends up in the back of our net, and then the pressure's on a young goalkeeper I'm given an opportunity to. Let's get the ball as far away from the goal as possible. Play up to Šeško like in Sunday against Sunderland when they did. Yes, they changed it around, but they haven't got to win the first header. They have to try and win the second header. So they moved forward as a team, won the second balls, and then played in the opposition's half. I think it's a sensible decision from Ruben Amorim. Yeah, and you worked that Manchester United Sunderland game, and talking about how they did go long to Šeško all the time. It was like a dress rehearsal for this, and yet they didn't play with Šeško because this is right from inside the first minute. They've gone long, they've won the ball back, and then no thought of anything else other than to knock this ball long and go and compete. But I thought one of the patterns
from the day was, even though the ball went long, I hardly ever saw anyone running in behind, expecting Manchester United to win the flick on. They were just in great positions, sort of behind the ball, weren't they, to recover the seconds?
I think it's sensible. They know they're not going to, up against Van Dijk and Arte, not going to win the first ball. You know, I was surprised how many balls they headed, the Liverpool defenders. I thought they would have let a few run, head back to the goalkeeper, clear the play up. But they headed it straight back into an area where Man United were pretty much populating. And it was a game plan. It was a game plan for them to do that. And I think it worked quite well.
Well, it did. It worked very well. And, you know, if you don't win the first header, it's important to win the second one. But they kept competing. They allowed these moments in the game. And I thought this was a poor decision. We're going to see from Van Dijk, and I thought just by stepping in for this next one, leaving that space in there, and I think Manchester United was so quick to spot that opportunity that yes, he's just stepped into that area.
Yeah,
ball comes outside to Ahmed, and look at now, there's your goal scorer, Bryan Mbeumo in that position, seeing that opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't see Virgil van Dijk get himself in a bad position as often as maybe we saw it.
If we're saying it's a bad decision to step in, it was also a bad decision not to run back.
Yeah.
You know, as quick as you possibly can, because he's looking to blame Konate here. For me, he has to be busting a gut to get himself back into that position. But he doesn't. He's ambling back. He's almost too cool to sweat. You know, he's thinking, oh, I'm a Rolls Royce. We know how good you are, Virgil. But sometimes you need to run. You need to run as quick as you can. You need to clear up the danger. He doesn't do it there. He's snoozing.
Yeah, you can see the two Manchester United players really are busting a gut to get in there. Konate sensing it. Ahmed plays a delicious ball, wonderfully timed in there, and Manchester United are off to a flyer. But that wasn't the only time they played forward. They got benefit there, and you know, they were then making sure that they got forward as often as possible. You see, there's no thought of, you know, how often in the Premier League, if there's that much space to a defender, do we see them given the ball? But not a moment's thought to it. See Casemiro in the middle saying, play the ball forward. There you go again. Nobody making a run beyond the ball. Nobody in a position to get forward. Just recovering that second ball. And go from there. Suddenly, instead of playing out from the back, instead of trying to have 15, 20 passes in your own half, risking the ball, you've now got one of your better players in possession all the way up here.
It's just common sense. And it's exactly what, when you look at the goalkeeper's done very well. He's had two very good games. But it's like Peter Schmeichel. We shouldn't be mentioning him in the same breath as Peter Schmeichel at the moment. He's got a long way to go. But it's the similarities there. He played his own games, Peter, sometimes. Even if Sir Alex Ferguson would tell him to roll the ball out, he would assess the game, how the situation was, how tense it was, and he would get the ball forward to the danger men. The danger men from Man United, they're weak in defence. We know they are. Listen, on another day, Liverpool could have scored 5 goals. But their attacking threat, they're still a threat. They've got very good players. Cunha's a very good player. You know, Bruno Fernandes getting in advanced positions. Mbeumo is a very good player. Mason Mount is in a rich vein of form. We hope he keeps himself fit. But why would you not get it forward to the players who can make a difference for you? And that's exactly what they're doing at the moment. And it's not just Liverpool. You watching their next fixture, they will do exactly the same. And they will continue to do this, I'm sure of it.
You think they've found themselves a pattern of play that suits the players they've got, getting them into advanced positions, creating chances?
Yeah, and you know, it's almost like a tick in the box for a manager like Ruben Amorim when he looks at Arne Slot's press conference afterwards. And Slot's talking about, we didn't, you know, a team what plays with such a low block, a team what goes back to front so much, we're surprised we created so many chances again. He's almost telling you what he didn't like about Man United's performance. So you take that as a positive if you're Ruben Amorim. You say, you know what, we must have got something right, because he's moaning about how we didn't play. He's taking the attention off his team and how slow they was in possession at times. We know, of course, they could have won the football match, but that is the way he's got to go. Low block, not on the halfway line. You've got defenders who can't run in behind, so why would you not drop deep and counter-attack? That's how they're best. At the moment, you're going to get the best out of these group of players playing exactly how they've played in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and by doing that, by going forward, I just highlighted how quickly Ahmad and Mbeumo got forward into those positions. But also, as we said, you know, look how compact they are as a team. Players in that position, you do play the ball long. They've got a lot of numbers in here to actually be in a position to win the ball back, because it's not always about that winning that first contact. It's not always about, You know, what happens then? It's about how many players you can get around the ball. I mean, even, I always say this, people don't know, is that the speed at which Maguire's trying to get up, which in turn has a knock-on effect, which makes your midfielders get up behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the Liverpool players there, just on that action, they've dropped. Because they know, well, there's no point us kind of put a heavy press on here, an aggressive press, because they're just going to kick it over the top of us. So they've gone in a half-and-half positions. They should be even deeper to protect. But they're not, because they're not unsure what the manager wants, because Arne Slot wants them to put the press on. But there's no point staying high and putting a press on with a team who are not going to play out. So they half got the hang of it, but they didn't fully understand what was needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, no interest in Mbeumo actually trying to win that flick on. They don't want that. That'd be an easy ball for Liverpool to pick up. What they do is they win the second ball.
And now they're playing, get the ball into wide areas. Yes, lacking bodies in the box. They have to put the extra pass in to build forward. But at least they've got a wee bit of control in the game, which is what they haven't had for many, many months.
It was all game long. I mean, you know, look how, you know, Anfield, everybody just in that compact little place. No thought of getting ourselves into these areas and leaving ourselves exposed at any point in the game.
No one behind.
Yeah,
it's just a token jump.
Again, no one concerned about winning the flick on, as you said. People just ringing that situation, be in a position to win the next ball.
Yeah, because you're together. So if you do lose possession, it's after the ball drops to one of the midfield players of Liverpool, they're close enough. They can all hunt as packs. You know, they go in together rather than being stretched all over the field.
Absolutely. And they got their joy, I think, from this moment, and this man in particular, Cunha, was outstanding. Big fan of his.
Oh, he's got everything. He's got everything. Oh, his discipline lets him down at time, but I think he's got the swagger to play for Manchester United, and I think we're showing him. He's playing so well at the moment, and then they're playing in a team which is not confident. But I think this result will give them a huge amount of confidence, and hopefully they can build from this.
Yeah, and it was an impressive performance built around what we've been talking about, these long passes. That's the most long passes by Manchester United goalkeepers in the Premier League this season. Clearly, I mean, the 2 games he's played, he's gone long, you know, more than Bryan did. But
I feel sorry for Bryan, because if the game plan was to do that when he was there, I'm sure he can kick it just as well as the Flamans. But he was asked to play a different way, which, you know, he's giving the ball away in wrong areas. He's making a rod for his own back. Then the confidence, Dwayne's within his performance. That is the way to go forward, especially with a young goalkeeper. He's put him in the team. Stick to how you're playing at the moment, because he's obviously capable. He demands the area, comes and takes crosses. He's a decent enough shot stopper. And they're not asking him to do something what he's not comfortable in doing, which is playing out around the box.
Yeah, and as a team, they went forward. They played long passes 61 times at Anfield. 44 of them were by the goalkeeper. Last season, I think it was 25 by the goalkeeper. They got a draw last season, as if they thought, this works at Anfield. Let's not get ourselves into trouble. And that's the way they played. So, you know, I think they were impressive in what they did from the back. But they also, I thought, were a lot more difficult to play through. I think there was a lot more stubbornness and a lot more rigidity to their system at Anfield.
I think they were compact. You know, distances were good amongst the, you know, defenders to the midfields, to the wide players around them. They were tucking them in. They were encouraging Liverpool to go around the outside and not come through the centre of the pitch. With Liverpool were very dangerous. But I think they got their game plan all right. Having said that, I keep going back to it. They could have got beat in the game. We know that. There'd be Liverpool fans screaming at the TV saying, yeah, we had all them. We're going to show you the chances, what they did have. But we're going to give the compliment to Manchester United.
I think you would say, though, if you go to somewhere like Anfield, they're going to have chances. You do know you're going to have to ride your luck at times. But I thought as a team, I thought they were quite compact. I thought instead of...
You see the equal distance, probably?
Yeah. I mean, the distance was very good. I've seen United in the past, and I always feel that they play as a front three like this, and I always feel that these spaces are what really hurt. We always say that Manchester United's 2 centre midfielders don't look like they can cover the ground. But if you can't, you don't. Casemiro doesn't want somebody all the way up there. He wants Mason Mount as close to him as possible
and help him out
and help us out. And I thought yesterday, they showed that so often.
Yeah, and Cunha and Mbeumo, because you know why? Because if they get the ball, they can travel with the ball. They handle the ball. You know, if it's Šeško, bless him, you know, he's good at holding the ball up, he can lay it off, he can't carry the ball forward, he's got no pace, got no guile, really. These guys they can handle the football, the ball is their friend. But like you say, Casemiro and Bruno, they need some help around them, and they were tucking people in alongside them. They felt more at home, more comfortable in the defensive side, and also when you win the ball, it's like a 5-yard pass just to someone like a Cunha who can take you up the field. You know, holds up the play, and Mbeumo as well. So they got it right. They're far more comfortable playing in this formation. But then where do they play Šeško next?
Yeah, that's the key.
Getting in the game. Yeah,
that's the key. But I do think the managers will make changes when they go somewhere like Anfield, and you do have to be a bit more compact. But they didn't just play at the back. People had the impression this morning that that Manchester United literally just defended the whole game back there in a low block. Well, they didn't at times. They did try and press, and I think a lot of it came through the balance of their 3 centre-halves. I think in the next couple of clips we'll show that they never, at any point in the game, just allowed a spare man and just to allow their midfield to get dominated. Whenever there was one of them spare, you see Harry Maguire is the one in this moment. He's thinking about stepping through. He's thinking about helping his midfield. Thinking about forcing them backwards.
I think Trent's massive miss for Liverpool. If he's in that position, there's no way they hold that line. When Trent gets his head up and he's got the range of passing, he would have dropped the ball over the top. They would have been willing runners. But they know when Konate's got the ball, they're thinking, well, there's no point us moving, really. He's not going to be able to find us in there. The midfield, they roll the ball into midfield. The Man United players were in contention. They were putting the squeeze on. I think Kerkez is lacking a bit of confidence. He's looking to play safe all the time with his passing. So, look, you'd have to say, let's tick in the box for Man United. They got the game plan right, and it worked for them. Yeah, Liverpool are not struggling as such, but certainly not found that fluidity that we'd expect that they had last season, especially with the signings that they made. But I always thought this was about what Manchester United did well. We did Crystal Palace a couple of weeks back in the show, showing how this system could work. And again, people in this position that are key. It was Sarr and it was Pino, I think, getting back into these positions. And they performed really well against Liverpool. And I do think that Amorim will have took a look at that and realised what Palace did well in this system, because I thought those players were key at both sides of the game for Manchester United. Mason Mount doesn't get the credit he deserves for some of his work. I think it's playing because they're playing in and they're in, they're defending well, but they're in to out. And they're, like I say, they're ball carriers. Whereas when Palace played Mitchell and Muniz, I think they bomb forward as wing-backs a lot better than the United wing-backs. But what he's pretty much said to him, stay at home yesterday. Stay where you are, fill them spaces, don't let any gaps arise so the likes of Isak can make runs down the side of you. And I thought it was ponderous from Liverpool's point of view. Yeah, it was, and they were quite slow. But we see this ball so often, don't we? But talking about Mason Mount's awareness, rather than being part of a front three and being in this position up here, just not allowing, knowing you've got a job, knowing you're part of an 11, knowing the responsibility of being in that position and making sure in that moment you don't let your team down, because you've played in the games, Tim, where if one player lets you down by not doing his job properly, it hurts the team. Yeah. What they're trying to avoid here is the wide defenders of the three going too wide. So they're bringing their wide men back, like Mason Mount, helping out on one side. So the last thing you want to do as a defender, one of the three, is to go out on the touchline or go out on the touchline. Then you're wide open. And then you're asking to Casemiro and Bruno to put the protection on. They're not that types of players. So pretty much keeping the wing backs like the Mason Mounts, push and help them out. Yeah. Defend for your life. And then when we receive the ball, we have good possession of it. And then you can have your sweets with the ball, because they've got good players in possession, Manchester United. They do. But it's great when you see good players being prepared to work this hard out of possession. We talk about the balance of the centre-half. There's De Ligt pushing all the way in onto Kerkez, Liverpool's left-back, in that position. And still at the same time, I beg your pardon, just to see that before we move on, Manchester United still managing to have a back five. So the organisation, the fluidity, I don't know if it caught Liverpool out as such, but I do feel like maybe Liverpool weren't expecting this. I think Liverpool have set all week trying to set traps and expecting United possibly to come and squeeze on them. and then they'll play round them, and then they'll win the ball because they're not comfortable in possession at the back. I think when they're receiving the ball off the back players, they're not that comfortable. And with the aggressive press from Liverpool, they would have nicked the ball off them time and time again. So to eliminate that, they just went over the top of it. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was very good. But the winning goal came from a set piece. Despite everything that happened, Manchester United scored late on with a set piece. And it was something that Arne Slot talked about in his press conference before the game. This is what he had to say.
We've conceded too many goals, that's for sure. And we've conceded 9, where 4 of them are from set pieces. That is what was and still is, by the way, a strength of us, which sounds weird if you concede 4. But that's not a reflection of the chances we've conceded in terms of set pieces. We are conceding too many crosses, so that is one of the things where we have to address and what we have to do better.
Well, I do feel he's right, Arne Slot, in that set pieces are a concern. He feels that they're strong at him, but I feel defensively there's a bit of a pattern emerging within these set pieces. This space is where all the danger is for Liverpool. This is where it's all going wrong for Liverpool at the moment, whether that be on the first ball in or the second ball. We'll have a look at how it progresses to there. They win the first ball. This is very similar to the Manchester United goal. Ball to the far post, getting done in that position. Crystal Palace again in that area. Is this a weakness that Liverpool have that teams have spotted, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. Take away Virgil. You know, wherever Virgil's not, let's get the ball to that area. I think they need to be more responsible. I think they're looking to attack before they've actually finished the defensive side of it. They're looking to run out of the box and attack and get on the ball and make things happen. But you have to see it out first. Make sure you defend your box.
Here's the players you're talking about. I think it's Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, amongst a few of them that they are marking up at that point. But same as at Crystal Palace, Arne Slot was very critical of his team last week. Suddenly, you've got players just running out of positions when they don't need to. Yeah. And suddenly, Manchester United want to believe they've got an overload of 3 players at the far post.
Yeah, but you know my feeling on this goal. This is just incredible play from Bruno. That pass is the pass of the season, bar none. Spinning ball in the air, coming out to him, trajectory of that pass, pace on it, so Harry Maguire just has to head it. I mean, let's watch it from here. Like the spin coming off the back there. Off the back, spinning towards him. The only thing I would say to Liverpool players, they would know that he's capable of doing that. He's the only player on the pitch who's possibly capable of doing that, and he delivers it on the biggest stage. And I'm pleased for Harry Maguire. Every manager tries to get this kid out of the club, and he ends up turning to be a hero and turning it around for him. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolute model pro at the moment. Well, this is where Liverpool are at the moment. They conceded 41 goals over the course of last season, 24.4% of those goals via set pieces. They've conceded 11 so far this season, 45.5% from set pieces. Is that something that they can fix quickly?
Oh, they need to. They need to improve. You can't carry on like that and win the league. It's impossible. With Arsenal improving like they are now, with a balance of squad, what they've got, with Man City flying. This league at the moment, most competitive league we're ever going to see in the Premier League, I would suggest. And I think that if they don't improve that stat, they will not win the league.
Well, it's one area they've got to improve. Here's another. I mean, who would have thought Liverpool were going to miss this many chances? Because as you rightly pointed out, Liverpool could have comfortably won this game had they taken these opportunities.
This was such a good move. He can't do any more Gakpo. He takes a brilliant touch and he just needs to whip that. He's almost showing Lammers a little bit too much respect there, and he tries. I think Isak here normally take this, possibly. I think Leroy will tell us I need to come up in the air there. He needs to shoot high. Because he makes it easier for the goalkeeper. That is just unlucky. I mean, how on earth has that hit the post and come out? But so they had the chances, and I think this probably the Salah one is it. Now Kerkez it finally finds its way to Mo Salah, and you expect him to score there, wouldn't you? You know. Yeah. But so the chances were there, but like you said, if you're going to get a result at Anfield, you're going to need to ride your luck. And this is Gakpo. I'll put my life on him to score there. I mean, Frimpong does brilliantly. He did 1v1 And he puts it right on the plate for him. Like you say, on another day, they could win this game 5.
Yeah, they could. And, it'll be frustrating on a slot at the moment because his team are creating chances. Look, they certainly should have had more goals than they've created, more chances than goals have justified. They've even out-created their opponents in each game and still lost. As a manager, what can you do about that? You've sent your team out, they're doing what you say, they're creating chances.
I think to keep himself calm, he's played a lot worse than 1 games this season. You know, so it does balance itself out. It's just a shame that it's 4 on the spin. It's looking like a little bit, if you're managing a team like Liverpool, you're the champions. 4 on the spin is a mini disaster. So they need to stop it, to stop the bleeding very quickly.
Certainly do. Let's take a walk over to Leroy. Do you see this run continuing, Leroy, or do you think Liverpool get back to what we're used to seeing from them pretty quickly?
It's fine margins. I don't see it continuing very much. Tim, you're absolutely right. The chances they created, when you reflect on that, you see that they really should be scoring 3 or 4 against Man United, the quality of chances they create. So, no, I don't see it actually continuing. But, I mean, maybe they're celebrating too early, Tim. You know what I mean? I just got an example of it. One of those chances you just showed there, Mo Salah. They're expecting things to happen instead of going and making things happen. Look, it goes to Mo Salah. You watch him, he misses the chance. But have a look on Curtis Jones on the replay. He expects this to go in. He's just coming into the box there. He's actually running out of the box, celebrating, before it doesn't even go in. They're expecting things before they happen. They can't do that. Someone who's been at Anfield a lot is Alex Ferguson. And you know what? When he goes to Anfield, he never gave Liverpool anything, did he? Didn't give them too much. Nope. With Kenny Dalglish, that's Kenny Dalglish. He's actually giving him chocolate buttons. He's saying, Kenny, have a chocolate button. I don't think Kenny trusts him.
No,
he doesn't trust him. Don't touch him. But he does. He trusts him. And you know what? It was the only thing that Liverpool got out of the game at Anfield.
Kenny said, you eat one first.
And, I've seen a trait, the long throws back, Tim, loads of things about. But I've seen this trait, coaches putting notes, giving notes to players. There's a lot of it going